Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 2021 Oil Valley Film Festival. My name is Matt Croyle. I am the festival director. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce all of you to Natalie Metzger. She is the Vice President of Production and Development at Vanishing Angle, based in Los Angeles, California. She is also a very accomplished producer, writer, and director in her own right. So welcome, Natalie. Thank you for taking the time to be part of the Oil Valley Film Festival this year.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So your morning's going well. We just discussed this. You're very, very busy, so I'm not going to take up a lot of your time today. But I wanted to ask you about a few things. Of course, my cat's going to come up here and say hello because she always has to get in on the action. Here, come on, baby.
What's name?
That's Donk, D-O-N-K, Donk. Yeah, my son named her when he was 3. I've watched Vanishing Angle sort of change the game in what it means to be fully responsible for a production over the past half decade. Where not only are you making the films that you want to make, but you're distributing them to audiences in a workable and successful way that is, in a sense, a self-sustained distribution model. Would you be able to talk a little bit about that process and why it's preferred that way for the organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we approach distribution how we approach everything else, which is trying to tailor everything to the specific film and project and filmmaker. So, we do that with our budgets. We don't say like, oh, well, this script is a $5 million budget. It's like, okay, well, this filmmaker works in a very specific way. And either this filmmaker wants to prioritize production design or this filmmaker needs more time in post. And so we try to like tailor the budgets and the production to that particular filmmaker and how they like to work. And the same thing happens for distribution. So, once the film is done and we're getting ready to think about how we want to, put it out into the world, it's like really a conversation between the filmmaker, what we think, what the feedback that we've gotten on some of our feedback screenings,
Right.
and how we want to approach it. And so, for Thunder Road, we had like a kind of like list of check marks of, okay, as we're getting distribution offers, what's going to be the offer that, is like worth it to us. And we had, it was either that the money that we would be like in full profit and, it would be great. Awesome. That's like a check. Or if they were willing to put in some funds, maybe not like, like to make the full budget back, but we're willing to produce our next movie. Great. That's like a check. Or
Right.
if they were willing to do some kind of, awards push with like, with the film or like really kind of, make it a higher profile film than something we could do ourselves. That was the third check. And either of those 3 would have made it a yes for any of the distribution offers that we got, but none of them really quite hit the mark fully for any of those 3. And so we just had a frank conversation amongst the team of like, well, what do we think we can do ourselves? Because we had actually, so Matt had produced a film called Too Late that they had self-distributed completely on 35 millimeter in theaters around the country a few years before we did Thunder Road.
Right.
So he already had the relationships with a lot of the theaters and specifically the art house cinemas that we felt like it would do well at.
It would play well in, yeah.
Exactly. And so with those relationships and then also with, Jim's like just really great background with like marketing and like social media, we just decided that we could do better on our own and that we were going to place the bet because, a lot of the offers that we got were like day and date releases. And we're like, well, we think that this can have a strong theatrical play. So we bet on ourselves and we self-distributed and it went really, really well. We made our money back very, very quickly and also had a whole like international side that we didn't expect or know that we were going to have. And that was just like a really great plus. We were in like 160 theaters in France and Jim's poster was posted all around the like UK subways. And it was really cool to see the success of that film. And So like, Too Late was kind of the start of it, and then we did it with Under the Road, and now we're in the process of doing it with Beast, the film that we had at Sundance a year and a half
Yes.
ago. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not the model for every film that we do, for like Werewolves Within, for example, the film that we have in out right now, it made sense to partner with a distributor because we just wanted to have that higher profile that we as a small independent company just like don't have that reach like IFC does. And IFC is such a great partner. We've worked with them several times on Greener Grass, and also now on the beta test. So yeah, it just kind of depends on the film and like what makes sense, and like what the market's looking like at the time, and
It's a lot of research too. I mean, I can imagine just from the distribution end of it, to the marketing aspects, because and you also at Vanishing Angle have that own marketing section of the company now, which is a whole different thing to add on to all the work in and of itself. So that's pretty fantastic. It's been fun to watch, to see the way that where the company's going, and like the films that you're getting to make is really exciting, and that's interesting. It feels to me that it is very personal to you guys, even though there is the business sense of it. You're getting to create the movies that you want to create, which I think is really important. Because you need as people who do create things, you need that kind of satisfaction of being able to say what you want to say and tell the stories that you want to tell. Can you let the audience know where you hail from, where you went to school, what were your initial passions while you were growing up, and where did film factor into that, and at what point?
Yeah, it was kind of a circuitous route to film. I grew up in South Florida in a town called Boca Raton between Miami and West Palm Beach, and yeah, and I went to college at Emory University in Atlanta. I double majored in theater and dance and minored in English. I was planning on doing my plan was to do, I'm going to open my own theater company. I was going to do live theater.
Yes.
And
also grew up on stage here, so we share that in common. So
yeah, I find a lot of people in independent film like have that kind of theater bug.
Have that background. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so while I was at college, I discovered modern dance. I had always been a dancer, but hadn't done modern, and so I discovered modern and then discovered choreography. So I loved this idea of being able to create the entire thing and not having to be on stage, but to be like kind of the behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah.
And so I discovered choreography there. I ended up pursuing a master's in choreography at Cal Arts in Los Angeles. And it was while I was studying at Cal Arts that I started, I got frustrated with the limitations of an audience for live theater. So, you're limited both in geography and also in time. You spend months preparing for this thing like you would for a short film or even a feature.
Correct.
You only get to show it to people that live in that city or that are within a radius of that theater. And it's only up for, a few weeks or a few months if you're lucky. And I wanted something that lasted longer. And so I started filming my choreography just for fun. Like I bought a DSLR camera.
Right.
I knew how to cut, in Final Cut. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna make these little dance films. And just for fun, I submitted them to a couple of film festivals just to be like, oh, let's see what happens. And they ended up starting to get some awards and attention. And I was like, oh, well,
that's wonderful.
That was fun. Maybe I'll do some more of those. And it kind of snowballed where I started working on music videos and commercials, with the dance background. It just kind of made a lot of sense. I started working with women in film. And from there, a lot of my film school friends started saying, hey, can you help me make my short? And I was like, sure. And I would just help them and kind of fill in the gaps wherever I saw.
Right.
Not realizing that was like a producer of just handling all the logistics, but that's just what I kind of did naturally. And so, yeah, so then my friends started recommending me to their friends, and pretty soon I was getting emails from strangers saying, "Hey, so and so recommended you. Can you produce my thing? I can pay you this amount of money." I'm like, "Oh, I can get paid to do this."
Right? You mean I can make a living doing this? This is great. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just kind of snowballed from there, just like through like word of mouth, and pretty soon I was quitting my job and diving into film full time.
That's fantastic. To just jump back really quick and touch upon something that you had mentioned about the limitations of theater. Um, I had a similar experience in coming to that realization. And at one point, I actually had to adapt a screenplay to stage, and it is mind-boggling the things that you can do on stage that you can't do on screen, and the things that you can do on screen that you can't do on stage. They are truly two different beasts. The performance aspect is there, but film, you get as many tries as you want, as compared to what's going to go wrong tonight. So I just wanted to let you know that I empathize with that feeling.
Yeah.
Now, I personally have a difficult time with anxiety, as many people do, and it's kind of somewhat affected my ability to focus a lot in the pandemic climate. And as a fellow creator and as a writer, has the current situation with the pandemic altered your writing habits or your creativity at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like changed all habits to some extent. But yeah, I mean, what was nice is that kind of towards the beginning of the pandemic, it allowed me to, because a lot of productions pushed back, and so it allowed me to have some real time to dig back into writing a lot of scripts that I had wanted to dig back into, but just didn't have the time with all the back-to-back productions.
Right.
That was just like kind of this like blessing in disguise, which was really great. And I think it also made me recognize like how much I want to continue writing. So I mean, I love producing and I want to be producing for the rest of my life.
Right.
But having those like times and those segments in between productions to dig back into writing was like really important to me. And I didn't think I realized that until kind of in the middle of the pandemic, being like, oh no, this is like a priority that I want to do. And so now I'm trying to prioritize that. I even just got hired to do a rewrite of a screenplay that I'm like trying to like do in between different productions. And so yeah, so I think it kind of like regrounded me in terms of like the creative aspect. But we were very lucky in the fact that we filmed Werewolves Within like right before the pandemic. We wrapped March 10th.
Right. Yeah.
So we were also in post-production on that. We were in post-production on the beta test. We were in post-production on a documentary that we're making about Yogi Berra. So we also kept very, very busy during that time. So yes. I don't think I actually had as much of a dig into writing as I fully wanted to,
right.
But it helped like reorient a little bit.
Your coworkers and fellow creators became your like quarantine family. You were all like together. Yes, I know that. I know that feeling. So let's see here. What's next? What do I got written down over here? What's upcoming on the creative slate for you, on the creative side of things, that you would want people to possibly watch out for? What's upcoming?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. So on the producing side, I'm producing a short documentary with Don Luby, who's one of the directors from Greener Grass. And we're filming that in Ohio in September. So
oh, wow.
I'm really excited to do that.
Yeah.
And we have the beta test coming out in November in theaters, which we're really excited about. And this film that we just wrapped up, California King, that we just shot in Utah, we're going to be in post-production on that, and it'll be coming out next year in 2022. So keeping eyes out for California King.
Yeah, you seem like you had a lot of fun on that set.
It was so much fun, and I love filming in Utah. It's just so beautiful. I'd never been there in the summer, but the crew there is just amazing, and Eli Stern, the director of that, is just, he's a dream to work with. He is so sweet and funny and smart, and yeah, that was a really, really great one. And then we have a feature documentary about Yogi Berra, the New York Yankees baseball legend,
Yes.
that will be coming out next year as well. And then on like the writing and directing side, we're adapting the short film that we made called Immortal into a feature film. So that script is pretty much like now finessed to the point that we feel like really, really good about it. And we're hoping to go into production.
And let's remind people that you actually wrote that script.
Yes, yeah,
yes.
I wrote it with my writing partner, Bob Allaire, and yeah, we're really excited about that one. It's been getting a lot of accolades, you know, at the different competitions and stuff, and so we're excited to get that one out. It's a sci-fi thriller set in like the Mississippi Bayou, and that one's gonna be
wow,
really fun to shoot. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, yeah, you have been busy, which is fantastic. It's great that during this time you've been really able to dig into stuff. Now you have this great working relationship with filmmaker Jim Cummings. How did you two meet? What prompted your collaboration on projects with him?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like looking back, it just all felt just so normal, and but yeah, I just started working with Vanishing Angle about 6 years ago. I had met Matt Miller and Eric Lochner at a film festival, and we just kind of stayed in touch. And I was, they like brought me in to start producing some things. They were just overwhelmed with projects at the time, and they're like,
right,
a producer who can handle some of this stuff. So I did like a music video and a pilot, with VA, and then I did a whole series. It was a YouTube Red series called Matt Pat's Game Lab, and as we were getting ready to finish filming that Matt came to me and he was like, "Hey, I have this filmmaker that I want to introduce you to. He just got commissioned to do 6 single take shorts with this company, Full Screen, and I need someone to produce it. It's going to be this like anthology series." And I was like, "Great, cool, sounds good." And it was going to start, like, we were going to wrap Matt Pat's Game Lab on a Friday, and then I would start prep on Minutes on Monday. So it was like right back to back.
Wow.
So I met Jim at the offices, and we hit it off, and I produced that series for him. And again, it was like 6 single take shorts, and so it was kind of very similar to what he had done with the Thunder Road short,
right?
And it was so much fun to make, and each of the different shorts was like a kind of completely different storyline, and so it was almost like doing like 6 back-to-back shorts, and over the course of like a week or two, and we had a blast. And then he got commissioned to do 3 more single take shorts with Topic, and so I produced those. So we had done 9 shorts together. And then when the Thunder Road feature came about, he like sent me the script and was like, "Great, like let's figure out how to make this.
When do we start?" Yeah.
It's just been that kind of collaboration ever since. He's such a talent, and like watching him work is so inspiring. He's like, the way his speed on set is like some people can't even compute it, because he's just like, he's so quick. And he's like, "Okay, great, let's do this." And he'll actually be the characters from the movie in the entire blocking rehearsal. And so it'll be like, "Okay, so and so standing here, and they're and they're giving these lines," and then he'll walk around and be the other person, and then he'll run over to the other side. You don't even like need all the actors for like the blocking rehearsal. He just does the full blocking rehearsal. So that is just it's just a blast working with him, and he's just also just such a great friend, and also just a great creative mind to have with the team. He's giving us thoughts on marketing and social media, and just like like things like the Shorts to Feature Lab that he runs, and stuff like that, where it's just like really helpful to connect to like also the next generation of filmmakers, and
right,
all of these things that are really important to us. So
he's pretty superb on Twitter. He's extremely positive with his posts, and he doesn't he gets right to the point with a lot of things, and I think that's important. He's not worried about all the bull crap in the middle of stuff. He just wants to keep people positive about and keep people creative. And he's like me in a sense, because this is something that I've always told people. Back when I made my first feature that we released in 2014, you don't need permission from anybody other than yourself to go out and actually make something. And I think that's a very important lesson that a lot of people need to learn early, because if you're sitting around waiting for somebody to tell you it's okay to make something or make a movie or write a play or whatever, then you're probably never going to do it. So just go do it.
Yeah, that's something that like I very much feel like I relate to him so much on of like great, we need to do this thing, like let's just do it, let's like figure it out, let's like dive in. It's like very action oriented,
yes.
which I like really respond to, because that's how I like to work. And so that's what's great about Jim. It's just like, he wants to do something, okay, great, it means we're doing it, like let's all let's all figure it out.
Yes. What sage advice, lastly, I guess, what sage advice or tips would you give to people just starting out in their creative careers, whether it's filmmaking or whether it's stage acting or directing or something along the lines in any of the creative arts themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that is so important and has been so important for us and at Vanishing Angle, and just in general, I think for me personally as a creative, is finding your tribe, finding the creative team that you feel really vulnerable with, that you can bounce ideas off of, that can just be action oriented and like, let's just do this thing. Like, find that group of people. And it doesn't have to be if wherever you're living, you can find that group of people where you are. You don't have to be in LA or New York or Atlanta. Like, you can just start making films with your group of friends, like where you are. And I think sometimes there's this like hesitation of oh, well, I have to be in a certain place or have to be working with a certain kind of person. But I mean, so many amazing films come out of Sundance and South by just from people just making stuff in their backyard, and having that like unique perspective. And so find your team and like and work on building that up, and it's kind of the same with like how it used to be, even with like all the friends that came up with like Spielberg and Scorsese and all them, like they're just buddies that like gave each other creative feedback, that were like throwing each other projects when they couldn't take on one. It was this like team. And so if you can find that team or that tribe, whatever you want to call it, that I think is like the first key. And then I think don't be discouraged by a no. Often people will like get a no and then say, okay, well, I shouldn't pursue that. But like, don't let a no turn you off. Don't let multiple no's turn you off.
You're going to hear no 99 out of 100 times anyway. So you might as well just expect it and get used to it. So when a yes does come, it's all the more sweet.
Exactly. And know that you're going to get those 99 no's. And so when you get a no, it should actually be a positive thing, because that means you're that much closer to a yes. I know that for my first feature documentary, I was trying to raise money and I was getting so many no's, and I just kept on like sticking with it, and then like ended up like doing crazy things of like searching on LinkedIn for like different people of like, okay, well, this person told me no, but I think this other person that works at the company is actually going to like it better. So let me guess at their email address with a series of, first initials and last names or whatever until I get through. And like, it ended up, working out. And I just think like, don't be discouraged by a no. Take it as a positive, because it means that you're that much closer to finding the one yes in the 100.
That's awesome. I agree. That's so great. Well, I do want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your morning to be part of this year's Oil Valley Film Festival. And we thank you for your candid advice and your wonderful answers to our questions. So we appreciate the time. Thank you, Natalie Metzger, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Oil Valley Film Festival.